to join because they slowly tend to filter in. But has anybody got any questions at the moment about anything to do with Met? So it's a good place to start.
When is the weather going to be nice?
Can you give me something I can answer? Well, it was today. That's it.
Yeah.
There we are.
Interested to know what app or website people use generally.
Yes, that's a good question. Yeah, don't know if you can you hear Clive on? Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Well,
Yeah.
Clive said about what apps or websites that people tend to use because there's a myriad out there now. I mean, yeah, if you wind the clock back to when you and I sort of learned to fly, fax machine, if you were lucky, you'd go get the weather off the fax. It's incredible. But I guess the 214 and 215s were still available back then. It was just via fax. But yeah, there was no instant access to weather. Country file, my instructor said. He said, watch Country File. It's about the most accurate weather forecast or reports you'll get. And sure enough, you watch that, it'd be completely different to the TV weather. So how can it be so different? But they said Country File's a bit more towards the farmers, of course, that really do want to try and know exactly when are they going to sow, when are they going to harvest, etc., and these sorts of things. There, so yeah, let's wind it back a bit. Get it off the fax. We thought we were really posh getting off the fax machine. So I just go get the weather from the fax. We've got one of those back here. Yeah, okay. Any other questions then?
What are the main things that we're concerned about as the helicopter pilots rather than fixed wing? Is there much difference? I mean, I know
Good question.
you're operating well.
Yes, but no. I mean, for a start off, for the most part, certainly around here, because we're the controlled airspace is, we're quite low level, aren't we? So would it be true to say, because I'm always going to throw it back at you, I'm afraid. Would it be true to say we're only interested in the low level weather?
Well, we got to fly yesterday. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. So one of the advantages is if the cloud base is quite low, we can go and hover, can't we? Do all those sorts of things still, yeah. And if it just becomes suitable for circuits, we could do circuits. But yeah, we can go do lots of different maneuvers on the airfield, all sorts of hoverings and quick stops and sloping grounds, and there's a whole myriad of things we can get on, which is good.
That's the wrong question. The question I was kind of getting at was, are we really?
No, you asked the right question.
Just up to about 10,000 feet. Is that all we're really bothered about? Because we're not going to go much higher than that, or does the upper weather affect us as well?
What do you? Where does it come from?
I think it's got to be it's got to be causing something.
Yeah, so for the most part, the weather pretty much comes from the sky, and the sky goes up for quite a long way, doesn't it? So as a net result, yes,
Yeah, we're concerned.
very much so, and the weather can be in literally layers. It could be laminar, so you can have different types of weather at different altitudes that will affect us down here on the ground or at low level. So it's a good idea to know what's going on up there, high level. Give me a Tony hiding over the back there. Give me a good example of some high level weather that we are very keen to know about that might seriously affect whether we go or don't go, for instance. Yes, because of course we'll think the thunderstorms being very low, the lightning tends to come down to the ground, so does all the precipitation, but they extend up to what can be upper limits of thunderstorms, so CBs, top of the anvil.
Over 31,000 feet.
Yeah, they can be really, really high, can't they? It's almost edge of the atmosphere kind of stuff. So whilst we're not up there, but look, we've already gone off down a tangent. In our reports that we we sometimes see CBs in there, but sometimes there's a little word before it that's like, uh-oh, this is particularly bad.
Towering.
Well, by very nature, they're towering anyway. Embedded, because embedded is kind of hidden in, isn't it? It's in there, hidden. So if you get an embedded cumulonimbus or a thundercloud, thunderstorm, embedded would suggest you can't even see it. So this massive, great big anvil that you see fantastic pictures of that can extend up to, I'm sure I read once, I think the highest one was 56,000 feet or something. It was just unbelievable. Little old you down here can't see it because there's too much cloud around. It's hidden. So that would be very useful to know. So you could argue that sort of definitely upper level of some description. Sorry, as you, Alex, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the answer, in answer to your question, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
What else is weather-wise go quite? We've jumped quite ahead where I wanted to be, but it's fine. I don't mind answering the question. Give me another example of some sort of high level weather or weather phenomenon or something that affects what happens to us down here.
Jet stream.
The jet stream, absolutely. And in its sort of simplest form is some pretty fast moving air somewhere up there, pretty high up, isn't it? That I can do a myriad of things, but we often think of it as it can kind of dump a whole load of air down, and it can also suck it up as well. And that's sort of one of the things that creates our highs and lows. Just one of the many things. So I think that's everybody kind of, well, we'll see if anybody else wants to come in tonight. So where does this all start? Where does the weather all kind of, where does it begin? Where do we begin? See you later, Megan. See you tomorrow. I said, oh, Megan, just want me to obviously turn it off when done.
Yeah.
Camera. Gosh.
Is it heat of the earth? And sun heats the earth and causes different. So
Yeah,
it's got to be.
yep,
That's
definitely.
nice.
That's certainly some of the basics in there, isn't it? Just warming of air
Yeah.
by whatever means. Let's just say the sun starts movements, doesn't it? Starts rising air, etc. What about the air itself?
Circulation of the earth relative to the wind. You know, circulation of the earth causing wind.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
Moisture from the sea as the winds come across.
Yeah, so let's just kind of tell me about this thing here that I've got in my hands.
The globe.
No, I've got some.
Oh, air pressure.
Just air. Talk to me about air, because at the end of the day, that's, well, A, we need it to breathe, don't we? But B, the helicopters need it to fly. No air, doesn't fly. Doesn't run, doesn't fly. So sometimes it's always worth, a bit like we did with principles of flight, just going over some real sort of basic stuff first of all.
Pressure
Make sure.
and moisture content,
Yeah,
wind direction.
that's right. That's when we start talking about the movement of it. But talk to me about things like did you say the pressure? So what do we mean by that?
Air pressure.
Yeah, I'm simple. Just give it to me in simple terms.
So we know it moves clockwise, don't we? So it's moving the air.
Yeah, just park that for a minute. That's skipping ahead a bit. So just talk about air pressure. What is air pressure?
Force per unit surface area. In this case, the force is the weight of the particles that make up the air.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And it's actually a lot more than we realise, isn't it? If there's a column of air above your head and you weighed it, it actually weighs quite a lot. It's like water. Well, I mean, water pressure's way more, isn't it? But we live in it and we don't really notice it because everything's equalised in our body. But we do feel it when we climb, don't we? That's for sure. Okay. So we've got this pressure, and pressure typically, what does it do with altitude?
Decrease near exponentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So it decreases with altitude, doesn't it? And we tend to measure it for the altitudes, well, you know, where we operate. What does it decrease by?
To
That's the temperature. We'll come to that one. Go on, be brave.
33 feet.
Yeah,
One
so
hectopascal.
1 hectopascal per 30 feet, typically. But of course, that's just standard model, isn't it? Whether it does or doesn't is totally different. But either way round, it definitely decreases with altitude. And we start, although I don't want to go down the principles of flight bit, but when we start looking at the aircraft, as far as drag's concerned, hey, that's good. Go up high, less drag, because there's less air. But the problem is they don't work so well, do they? Neither the rotors or the engines. Anyway, I don't want to go too much down that route. So what else? So we've got air pressure, temperature. How does that affect it?
3 degrees every 1,000 foot. Every day.
It can be, but
Yeah.
typically about more like 2 degrees.
Warmer air's thinner.
Phase.
Warmer air's thinner. Yeah, good. Absolutely. So if air's thinner,
affects aircraft performance.
We're going to
it
go
does.
down,
But okay, don't go too much. Won't go down the aircraft performance. You're absolutely right. Damn right. As far as creating lift, but drag is great because less drag, isn't there? So one way to quickly think of air, warming up of air. Yeah, I sometimes have to describe this. Maybe I've got a cubic meter of air. So I've got a box on my desk. It's a cubic meter, but it's got no lid on it. If we warm it up, it spills out. There's definitely less air in there. It's less dense, isn't it? And because otherwise, if we're not careful, we often think of it as a sealed container, and if you heat it up, it gets pressurized. And it's like, no, 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 no. There's no lid, so it's free to just, if it wants to expand, dissipate, whatever. Okay, so and if this cubic meter of air warms up and expands and spills out, it's less in there. It's less.
Pressure decreases.
It's less dense.
Less water vapor.
Less water vapor. Gets lighter in it.
Rises.
Off it goes, isn't it? Not exactly that dissimilar, I suppose, in some ways to hot air balloon, is it? You just warm up the air around the comparative to around it, it becomes less dense, lighter, and up it goes. So it likes to rise, and that starts to explain the very thing you were talking about. It was your answer with the sun shining down, warming the air up, makes it expand, less dense, rises, off it goes, isn't it? And of course, yeah, so there's moisture in this air. Not always. So when is there no moisture in the air? Sorry, poor Holly. Anybody online, you can chip in. Don't be afraid. When is there less moisture in the air?
Desert, hot high, like arid countries like Arizona and stuff.
Possibly. But how do we measure the moisture in the air?
Humidity.
Humidity. And we call it, there's a word usually in front of it as well.
Relative.
Relative. Relative to what?
Relative to the dew point.
Yeah, it's kind of relative to how much moisture it can actually hold. So if you've got very cold air, how much moisture can it hold typically? Actually, not a lot comparative to hot air. So, funny story. Well, it's hardly funny. You've probably all experienced it. First time I went to the Caribbean, classic in the aeroplane. It's all nice and it's actually quite cold on the aeroplane. Open the door, vroom, within what felt like seconds, I'm drenched. Oh, bloody hell! I've never experienced this before. Not like this. Wow. And so, but there was no visible moisture, but it was clearly very moist air, so it can hold a lot of moisture because it's very hot, isn't it? So deserts could be dry, but they could actually be moist as well. It's just so hot it can hold a lot. So therefore, when can the air potentially have no humidity or moisture in it?
Really frosty day.
When it's really, really cold. It is possible it just becomes ice crystals. And this is possible, therefore, to get down to 0% humidity, isn't it? Okay. And that's a whole nother one for aircraft general knowledge with carb ice. If you add heat, you actually melt the ice in the air and it freezes in your carburetor. Anyway, that's a different one. Oh, there's Catherine. Anything else you want to know? Anything interesting about this air that we've just been discussing?
Just a quick one, Paul.
Yes.
I was just thinking about the warm air. Logic would say the warmer the air, the more the moisture evaporates, so it gets drier.
Well, does it?
Well, when it heats up, the moisture would evaporate, wouldn't it? And then it cools down. Yeah.
Well, it cools down and condenses, but does that moisture content change? What about, you don't need to know about my personal hygiene habits. I'm probably going to have a shower tonight. And when that shower's going, I don't like it really hot, but, I like it quite warm and whatnot. And if I don't put the extractor on, I won't be able to see a thing in there. It'll be all misted up. I've warmed the air up. It's pretty warm in our ensuite, etc. But there's definitely loads of moisture sticking to the mirror, etc., etc. It's got you thinking, isn't it? So yeah, one of the things.
Because I'm kind of on what he's talking about. I guess it's contained somehow. Is it higher pressure above you keeping it down or something? It's not letting it evaporate into space. So.
Oh, well, the moisture content.
Yeah. What is keeping it all clear?
Intuitive, you think if it warms up, it's going to get drier.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just absorbed into that air.
It's the ability of the air to hold the moisture. The content doesn't necessarily change. It's relative humidity. So you could have. So I'll just describe my bathroom. I'm going no further than that. But anyway, okay. So I've got the trunks on. So at that point where it's really misty in there, it's pretty much, it's well and truly 100% humidity in there. But if I was to warm the air up further, so if I stuck the heater on even more, the heated tower and whatnot, it would start to clear. Have I got rid of that moisture? All I've done is warm the air up, and it's far more capable of holding more moisture, and it becomes less visible. And this is where temperature and dew point come into play.
Well, you know how you get rain. So say you get the air coming across the sea, and when it hits hills, it then lets the moisture out.
That's because the air's risen.
It's also about increasing the temperature of the fabric in your bathroom. It's about increasing the temperature of the fabric of the building.
Yes.
And the ability of those surfaces to condense, to turn the
in your
vapor back to liquid.
That's it. In our most people's cars have got air conditioning of some description. There's a compressor with refrigerants and all the rest of it. We got one of the helis has got this. That can dry the air out, but that's dehumidifying it. That's a very different thing. It's actually taking that moisture, and that's why when we land in Surdee, there's a puddle of water underneath it. It's the evaporator, isn't it, down there? That's attracted all the water. It's how a dehumidifier works. But that has actually dehumidified the air, and that's one way of clearing the windscreens a lot quicker in the helicopter. So we've got to just make sure we get our heads around the idea of this moisture. Potentially, we're not going to necessarily be able to dry it out, but it's about the pass of air being able to handle it, to cope with it, to hold it, and whether it becomes visible or not. So yesterday, for instance, the visibility, Stella will contest to this, won't you? The visibility out there, certainly low level, was not great. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it could have been or has been, but it wasn't great. And that's just moisture in the air. And that would tell us that the air is struggling to hold any more moisture because it's beginning to condense out and turning into literally poor visibility. As it happened as a temperature version, you get above it, and because of the weight of it, it's all being held down. Suddenly, it's crystal clear on the top. So just keep thinking about that relative humidity comparative to what the air can maybe hold. And what we don't want to see is things like when we're looking at their forecasts, that the temperature and dew point are getting pretty close together, because that will create
Fog.
Or cloud, but fog really is just cloud low down, isn't it? It's the same stuff at the end of the day. Or it will start to, without doubt, impact the horizontal visibility. Yes. So as just a loose rule of thumb, if you see things like the relative humidity getting down into the 80s and certainly into the 70s, the chances are it'll actually pretty clear out there. It doesn't, for the most part in the UK, it doesn't tend to drop much lower than that. Just trying to think what I've seen the lowest the humidity. Don't think I've seen it in the 50s. Maybe I have, and I've not noticed. But anyway, as soon as you get down to those numbers, oh my God, it's crystal clear out there. It's super clear because the air can hold a lot of moisture without it condensing out, without it starting to affect that visibility. Okay, so we know if the air's lighter, it rises, and that might start to produce all sorts of interesting things. Anything else? Anything interesting about the air as far as the weather's concerned? So you don't need to make up too much of the oxygens and nitrogens and all the rest of it, and carbon dioxide. It's just the fact that there is some water vapor in it. Is water vapor a gas?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it always puzzles me. It's thinking, but it's water. I don't understand. How can it be a gas? But it's vapor, yeah. So it's considered a gas, isn't it? But again, in the whole principles of flight, just experience. You must have experienced it. The helis do not fly so well if it's damp out there. If it's if there's water vapor in the air, even though it's a gas, and the aircraft just fly in the gas at the end of the day. But anyway, moving on swiftly. Okay, so there's just this air that we've now been describing. Does it move apart from up if it gets warm?
Yeah.
What else can it do then?
Move laterally.
It can. How? Down a pressure gradient. Oh, I can't spin that around all the way for a minute. Yep, down a pressure gradient. What do we mean? And we'll look at some charts in a minute and stuff like that.
By changes in the temperature of the surfaces that it's over.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Cold mass and a warm mass, and we transfer between them.
Yeah, good. So which way does it like to move?
high pressure to low pressure.
Yes.
What
And that would kind of
what
make sense, wouldn't it? Because if you've got some, you know, if you've got a gas that's here under a bit of pressure with nothing really containing it, it wants to move and just to expand, or in particular, oh, it's a low area, so it's going to try and fill the low, isn't it? And we do start to think of this as gradients. You can almost think of it as going downhill, almost like some water. You pour it onto a slope. Well, it tends to go down the slope, doesn't it? It starts to go down to the lower area, the lower pressure, so it moves like that. But the Earth's rotating. If we say the North Pole's the top, you look from above, clockwise or anti-clock? Does it matter?
Yes.
Why? It could go the other way, couldn't it?
Well, so typically you get
Just changes time zones.
western winds here, don't we, because of that rotation. Is that true?
Say that again.
We get westerly winds because of that rotation. Is that not true? No.
Well, so here's the thing: as a small child, and do feel free to stick your hand up if you still think it's true. I used to look up and think the clouds move because the Earth was rotating, because I'd learned that at school. I was like, so the Earth rotates, is that why the clouds move? The teacher's like, I'm not sure. Well, obviously no. So of course all that air actually moves with the Earth, doesn't it? It doesn't stay. It's not stationary in any way, shape, or form. So it's not the Earth spinning within the atmosphere. It's all part and parcel of it. But the atmosphere moves. We've already said it can go up if you warm the air up. What about if you cool it down? Comes down. It can move sideways because of pressure gradients. Yeah, those sorts of things. And because the Earth rotates, what does it sometimes do to that moving air?
Because it's friction between the Earth's surface and the air, isn't there?
There is, good. So this explains why the surface wind is quite often different to the upper wind.
Mm-hmm.
It will have changed direction because there's less friction from the Earth, so some less mechanical mixing. But Coriolis effect, conservation of angular momentum. I won't go down too heavily at that one. There's some good videos online. It's better than me trying to draw it all out, explain it for the next half hour. But because the Earth rotates and the air masses move, if they go, for instance, from the equator towards one of the poles, it maintains a bit of the velocity that it's already got, but it starts to change its direction. Anyway, it makes it swirl round. So it starts swirling round. Which way?
It depend on where you are.
Yeah, that's right. So the
Yeah.
northern hemisphere will be one way, and the southern hemisphere will be the other, and on the equator it'll be a bit sort of 50-50.
Isn't it anti-clockwise above, clockwise below?
You're pretty much there, but you just need a little bit more info. So typically it will swirl anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere if, Tony?
Anti-clockwise.
Yep. Yep. So it'll circle around a low pressure area. And this is where you must have read in the books, drift right into danger. So if your if your aircraft is typically drifting to the right because the wind's coming from the left, eventually, probably, you're heading towards the area of low pressure. You're heading towards the center of low. And if you think of it swirling around like this, if you then put an aircraft in it, it will literally drift off to the right, drift right into danger. So therefore, if it's high pressure, it's clockwise. No, there's no saying of drift left out of danger. But we can often consider an area of low pressure to be not so good to fly towards because of the types of weather it can produce, whereas high pressure tends to be far more stable. So hence there isn't that saying of drift left into danger for high pressure or anything.
Wise ballot law?
Yep. Go for it then, Holly.
That was the worst timing ever.
Perfect timing. So Bayes' ballot law, which says
If your back is to the wind, the low pressure is on your left.
that's it. Yep. The low pressure, yeah.
In the northern
Yeah.
hemisphere.
Yeah,
In
in the
the
northern
northern
hemisphere.
hemisphere.
Therefore, don't forget in the southern hemisphere,
The other way
it's
around.
the other way around. Yeah, easy. Okay. And an experiment that's been tried many times, but is very difficult to produce, is the good old water down a plug hole. So, of course, in the northern hemisphere, theoretically, if your water in your sink is absolutely perfectly still and you manage to pull the plug without disturbing it too much, it'll theoretically go around anti-clockwise. So this Coriolis or conservation of angular momentum can act on a small scale as well. And if you did it with 100 sinks, supposedly, yeah, the vast majority will go anti-clockwise, but you've got to be so perfect, it's got to be undisturbed to begin with, so you don't influence it. But it's true, they are. So when you're in the bath later, pull the plug and see what happens. Yeah.
You go near the equator, there'd be a tourist trick there.
It's
They
50-50.
do it, they put it on the equator line.
Yeah.
Two sides and they both go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's got to be a perfect experience because the force is not so strong there, literally, as opposed to higher up the globe. Okay, so we've got movement of air, and there's other things that can make this air mass move. So we start talking about air in masses, don't we? A mass.
Yep.
And we start looking at the UK. There's various masses that affect the UK. Anybody want to try and name some of them? Tony, Holly, Ron? Yeah, polar maritimes. That sounds cold and wet. It's easy to work out. Any others? I know, tropical maritime, warm and wet.
Continental.
I've done mine. Continental. Where's that come from? So the continent.
Is there an Arctic one?
Yeah. So you can kind of get the idea if you look at the UK and think, okay, so if it's coming from probably somewhere higher up, it's probably cold. If it's coming from over water, it's wet. If it's coming from over the land, it's dry. But if it's coming from the south over water, it's wet but warm, etc. It's not too difficult to fathom out. So supposedly, where does 75% of our sort of weather or air mass come from in the UK? There is, although to be honest, over the years, it does seem to wane a little bit. But anyway,
Southwest.
Yeah.
literally southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's off the Atlantic, isn't it? Which is more often than not, if there's something going on around Florida area, something like that. Funny enough, we quite often catch a bit of it, kind of thing, or the Caribbean maybe as well, all that sort of thing.
Is that because it's following the
jet stream.
It's
Yeah.
the jet stream, yeah. So it does depend on what the jet stream does, because that
It's
tends to
magnetic,
drag it across, loosely
Well, so many
speaking.
runways
And
are
therefore, the
two-
currents in the water also affect it as well. They affect the weather.
Or so many runways are 26, 27.
Yep, absolutely.
25.
Yep. So vast majority, but allegedly 75% comes from the southwest. That's why we tend to have far more west-southwesterly winds than we do any other
Yeah,
direction.
that's why like the Isles of Scilly now have got palm trees there, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Oban up in Scotland
Yeah.
got palm trees because it just catches the Gulf Stream, doesn't it, as well there? Yeah, so quite impressive. Okay, and so just doing air mass effect in the UK. And we can look at potentially get onto all sorts of cloud formations and many other things as well. Any questions of that so far? Because I want to try and get onto the Met Office as well, and our TAFs and METARs and all those wonderful things. So any questions on what we've discussed so far? But you can see it's a good idea to refresh your memory of actually how all this weather actually comes from, because as always, if you've got a good base understanding, good foundations, you can build on top of it. But if your foundations become a bit weak, then sometimes your ability to maybe predict the weather, you start to lose the ability almost, because you're just concentrating on the apps or the information and you're forgetting actually where all this stuff comes from. And it's not difficult to predict sometimes because of the mass of air that's heading towards you, whether it's warm, cold, moist, dry. It's usually fairly easy to fathom out what it's going to bring, and then to add sort of times of the year, those sorts of things. So yeah, just having a real rock bottom basic understanding actually gives you quite a good head start. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to look at MAVIS or MAVIS? Does anybody know whether it's MAVIS or MAVIS?
I think the visualization is in the VIS.
MAVIS. I'm going to go for that, are we? Yep, okay. Why don't they just call it METVIS? All right, has anybody had a little look at it? All right, hands up if you haven't. Probably easy. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Right, let's make sure I've got my screen on share. Yes, I have. Screens in. Okay. Got to move you around a little bit, sorry. Can't see what I'm doing there. And so Am I on the home yet? Let's just throw home.
They're probably coming in from Cheltenham, are they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Does it small?
Let's just try and go to the home screen, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it is. That's my default. Mine is up doing this. So go straight to this sort of home screen. So we've got a map of the UK, but of course I can zoom in and out. Why is it not showing me the weather across Europe or much of Europe? Because this sometimes is a question that's asked.
Is it our UK Met Office?
Does it say UK, Mel? Yeah, that's right. They very kindly give us a fair bit of France, actually, which is quite handy because we do go there on the odd occasion, etc. But yeah, don't be surprised if I've got Spain, Italy, etc., and all sorts of other things. Yeah, it's the UK Met Office, isn't it? So it's not likely necessarily to have all of that, certainly not to begin with. Now, the setting up of this, there are quite a number of different sort of layers you can have, depending on what you want to see. And even the color coding. Let's say I'm not going to go through the whole lot. It's down to you to have a good old play. And I'm not that proficient with it yet, okay, because I haven't used it an awful lot. I've been using the our sort of older version, as it were. So I'm still trying to get used to myself. And it's in, as we can probably see, it's still in beta. Yeah, so it's still under development. So they make
It's a website, is it?
it is.
It's not an app.
Yep,
It's
it's just simply a website.
Yeah.
There's no app for MAVIS just yet. The Met Office have an app that they've recently updated. But yeah, for now. But you can turn this effectively into a bit like an app on your telephones anyway, if you know what you're doing with it. You can just add it to your home screen. Yeah, that's it. And it works. Okay. So what have we got? Well, I've gone for simple color coding of green, amber, and red, which probably means green being good, amber being not so good, and red probably not great at all. And at a later date, they are going to let us change the settings for this. So this is well worth knowing. If you're going to the settings, you can change your map display as to what you want to see. So look, you could show military sites as well. I don't see balloon sites. Show sites that do not issue metals, clustering, it may be, etc., etc. But the color coding down here, you can have civilian color code where they've got sorts of whites and all many other colors. But I've just gone for the simple red, amber, green. Just keep it simple.
So have you set your thresholds for your red, amber, green?
You can't do that yet.
So
no,
it's not like Sky.
They said you will be able to. It's going to take. It's going to take me a second. It is here where the thresholds. So you can see I've gone red, amber, green, but it won't let me adjust them yet.
It's going to be.
It is going to be apparently. So you can see at the moment where it's been set. Yes, this could be quite useful. It's the same thing we do for the maps on the wall. Same thing we do for SkyDemon, which brings me about to the point of when you're using maybe the interactive map we've got on the wall, the SkyDemon we have, because we've got one for account for the whole flying school and all the helicopters. Whose settings are you using? So you might look at the SkyDemon, for instance, and go, oh, wow, it's all green. But somebody might have changed the settings. And actually, that might have been adjusted for, turn it green for the clouds 300 foot. So you need to know what you're doing with it. So it's really important. This is why I've sort of come to this page. At the moment, like I say, I can't change these. But eventually we will be able to alter them.
Amber, 500 feet.
Well, yeah, exactly.
On vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Where are we? Runway visual range or below vertical? Yeah, down there. There we are. So anything above 500, therefore, is green.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to know how it's been set. So you can't just look at a map and say, "Oh, it's like the one there. Oh, it's lovely and green."
It's all green. Go.
You need to know. That's right. Yeah, I need to know what settings you've been using. I cannot stress that enough. Well, don't forget, of course, this is above ground level. Yes. So technically, 500 foot or above, if you can maintain 500 feet above any person, vehicle, vessel, structure, etc., you're just about legal, but you're not safe, that's for sure. But yes, so you can see that probably needs a little tweak, doesn't it? But it is amber at the end of the day. So if you therefore knew that amber is that's on the airfield basically, that's not even go around the circuit, then that would make sense. So it depends, you know. I don't fly fixed wing, but I know that for the most part they like to try and make sure they get at least 1,500 feet on the Q&H round, otherwise they won't go local area, typically speaking. So that means the cloud base above ground level would need to be pretty much actually 1,500 feet above ground level for them to safely be able to do that. So they'd need to change this completely, wouldn't they? Or they'd have to have that rule of, well, amber definitely is no go, that's for sure. But for us, amber, oh yes, that's play on the airfield, that is. Happy days, no problems at all. Even red is go hovering on the airfield as long as the horizontal visibility is okay. Yeah, 100 foot. I mean, we don't often hover at 100 foot. Don't often hover much about 5 to 10 feet.
Why are they using metric for horizontal and imperial for vertical? It just why are they
Sophia,
using
if you could answer that for me, I would just literally be, oh, thank you so much. I got no idea. Because remember, in aviation, what have we got? We've got feet, we've got meters, kilometers. All right, they're just basically meters, but we might as well add that in as well. Nautical miles. We've got.
US gallons and
Well, we start
Yeah,
getting into those.
exactly.
Yeah, those as well.
Oh,
So you could sort of say, oh, it's okay. Horizontal is meters and vertical is feet, but that doesn't always work either. It just is, okay? It just is. Just all right. Just stop arguing about it. Just get used to it. Yeah, yeah. There is some sense behind it. Okay. So hopefully I've just made this clear enough for everybody. But look, it's a whole load of stuff you can play with and set it up exactly how you want it, which is why on MAVIS you create account and save your settings in it. So therefore, when you log on to the planning computer, you could load your own, and it does log you out after X amount of time, so you'd have to keep reloading it as necessary. But if you just jumped on it after somebody else has been on it, and again sort of said, oh God, it's all red, I'm not going, or it's all green, I'm going, who knows what settings are? You've got to have a look at those, haven't you?
So it's essentially airfields. So if you're going from here to somewhere, that's the sort of intention. You can check airfields that you may be going to.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it gets this information. Where does it get this information from, I wonder? And then cookies, obviously, etc., etc. Well, of course, it's getting its information, as you can see down here, that I've already got some pre-selected. It's getting it from the metals, isn't it? Hence, at the moment, it's suggesting that all their local major airports around us are all green right now, but only as far as the settings are concerned.
You anything that you can't get from SkyDemon?
Yes, we'll see. There is, yeah.
But so the 214s and 215s are lost in there somewhere.
They're in here, yeah, that's right.
You found them?
Yes,
Yeah.
and things
I
like
couldn't find them.
the synoptic charts, yeah, they're in there.
Aero weather, do you use that?
Yes.
That's got a lot of
Yes, it
information
has.
by airfield, isn't it?
So one of the things that we'll just go through this a little bit more because I wanted to just run this past everybody because we're going to have to start getting used to it because as of the 24th, that's what we've got.
Right.
Yeah, the old site is allegedly is been taken offline at that point in time. Yeah, it warned you if I it's obliterating it, but up here it says across it that it's going to be as of the 24th you need to move over.
So in MAVIS, where are the 214 and the 215? Because I couldn't find them. I was looking at it on my phone.
Okay, so there is something I've done, and that is I've something that is vaguely quite good. Is pinned. You can pin your favourites, so you can choose. There's there's a decent old list down here, as you can see, and you can pin the ones you use the most to the top, which is quite handy. But yeah, they're all down here at the moment. So just going to go back over to sites for a minute, and then you can see there's a drop down arrow. If I just click on that, hey, let's just move you everybody out of the way a minute. Let's put you over there for now. Okay. There is a METAR and a TAF, and there's no, as far as I'm aware of, I haven't seen a decoding option, but it's okay. We're quite capable. Some useful things that there is a warning there, so it does sort of show up in red. So there's some visualization stuff. I'd like to think as aviators, if we sort of read in there that there's gusts of 28 to 30 are likely to occur, we would already take that as a bit of a warning. We wouldn't just sort of, well, I didn't see a red warning on it. I thought it'd be fine. It's like, come on.
Making the straps are secure.
Yeah, we ought to be able to interpret this stuff a bit better. But anyway, it's quite cool. It's pretty good. What I wanted is
what I wanted is the decoding. They're going to add that, do you think?
I don't know. This was not bad actually. So it starts to color code. I've just clicked on Cranwell because it was amber, and it's showing me why it's made it amber. Yeah, it's highlighted. It's because the wind is 15 knots. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure I'd call that a lot for us in heli terms and whatnot. But of course, if that wind was across a runway, so if it's perpendicular to the runway and used for the fixed wingers, that starts to present a problem for some of them. Yeah. That's on the limit. So that's not bad. And therefore, if you click on something that's red, it gives you why it's red. So that's not bad. Yes, all right. But again, I'd like to think that we've taught you to the point where, but you'd already see the colours without seeing the colour. You'd already read it's overcast at 200 foot. You're going nowhere other than on the airfield. We don't.
It's highlighted, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And therefore it's quite good for teaching because straight away it's highlighting the things that we would highlight. We'd ask a student, have a look at that metal. Is there anything in there you don't like the look of? No, it's fine. That's like what about this? What about this thing here? This BR. Oh, hang on. So that's mist, etc. And yeah, so it's pretty good. So that's not bad. It's all right. Might assist. Especially if you're maybe tired, if you're skimming through things quickly, a quick flick through. Oh, hold on.
Or inexperienced.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, totally. So yeah, so that's not bad.
Anything that would worry you on the green? Because I guess the danger is you saw it's green.
Yes, so I still wouldn't just go, oh, it's all right, look, city's green. Yeah. Probably not going to work, but if I click on there, no, there's nothing particularly concerning in amongst there, to be fair,
but
other than
need to check it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Otherwise, we're going into the realms of looking out the window saying, yeah, it looks pretty good, come, let's go. But in reality, we can't see that far out the window. So yes, we've got to make sure we actually look. So all of these things, like the map on the wall, it just gives us a bit of a feel. Green being probably half decent, blue not amazing. If it starts turning a mauvey red colours.
What's feeding that data?
It gets it off of the internet via God, I can't remember where it looks for it. They've just changed it recently, but it's a Met Office source of some description.
Well, like I say, it does say that it's a beta, so I assume at some point they'll add a function to decode the weather reports.
Possibly, yeah. The whole things are currently beta, the entire site, and it's quite good. So I'm not going to go through the whole lot, but there's a page where it tells you about what they've already done to date and the changes they've made and what the future changes are that are planned. So they're being quite communicative, and I know on our phones on the apps, I've sent a couple of messages about usability, and looks like they might have listened to me and quite a few other people, and they've changed the functionality of it. So if you find something doesn't work, tell them. If you find it's like, hey, I really like this, do tell them so they hopefully don't change it. So we can hopefully adapt this or help assist with the adaptation of it to what is actually useful as a pilot. And what sort of a pilot you are, heli pilot or fixed wing on low level, high level, all these sorts of things. They do appear to listen. Yay, good.
On the phone, there's a little arrow at the bottom.
Have you turned it into an app then, as on your phone?
No, I've just literally logged into the website.
Oh, okay.
But
do you now have to create an app on there?
No,
as such.
beyond me.
Please look. Oh, your browser. So I think it's down here for you. Bookmark, share, add bookmarks is share, and then we want active desktop. I'm upside down, so keep have a look.
That's the home screen.
That's it. Put it there, and so what I'll do and put that.
Okay. Every day's a school day.
Now touch on it, and it turns into what looks a bit more like an app. Look.
Oh, right, that's clever.
So I guess the way
when I do that, I don't need to log in.
Correct. You need to log in for the first time, but it does appear to log you out. So, but it will save your passwords. But I think the whole idea is because you could have multiple users on the same, maybe, for instance, planning computer, as we've just been discussing, you're going to have potentially have your own settings. So you're not relying on somebody else's. You can just load your own, you know what you've got. Otherwise, you then got to keep constantly going back to the settings, having a look, change them all. Then I go back, I don't believe it, you've changed them all. So I've got to change them all back.
Feeling this will be your default first call.
Well, it is definitely one of them, without a shadow of a doubt. So the Met Office ought to be our, first of all, for the UK, our default where we get the weather from, and then everything else we use to complement it.
So I guess if you had like a flying school login and you shared that with students, there's no way of you fixing those settings, is there?
I don't know. Maybe they'll let me lock them. I don't know.
But
Yeah, possibly. But of course, it's going to be the settings that I've put on there. But I would therefore probably put on, also in our ops manual, for instance, the visibilities and the cloud base is dependent. But the whole point is don't purely rely on it. It's, you've got to look deeper as to know exactly why it's green, why it's amber, why it's red, what might be, green for one pilot and definitely might not be for another pilot, and depending on what it is you're going to go and do. So you've got to be so careful with that side of things. You can't just, I keep looking at the map on the wall, you can't just look at that and go, it's great to go flying. It's only a guide, just a bit of an overview. For instance, the one on the wall, I think you've all seen that before.
Yeah.
Birthday present, the Virgo was very kind of given to me. It was very nice of staff and whatnot. And God, that was 4 years ago. You can see on there sometimes literally fronts moving across a weather system. So out to the west, it's all turning a bit horrible. We've got that rain coming tonight and the strong wind. So you can see it's flashing, which means the winds are over 15 knots, and it's starting to turn red down the left-hand side. So it's moving across the map. So we wouldn't use that literally for a weather brief as such, but just a big picture. And when you probably heard me talk about this before, when we start looking at Met, do we start off with the minutiae, or do we start with the big picture? Why?
See trends, or we can get
but if we started with the little picture and went to the big picture, we'd still see that. So why not go little to big? Why go big to little?
I mean, that will tell you what's going to happen as well as what is happening, won't it? More.
But so would if you went from the little picture to the big picture. I'm doing that classic. I'm trying to make you think. There is some logic behind it. There's different thoughts. Anybody got any theories? Why do we teach big picture to small?
This gives you a bit of, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
There you go.
I was just going to say it's the it's just following the hierarchical levels.
Does it
Everybody's
make us
silent now,
focus
aren't they?
more?
Sorry, 6 second.
Does it make us focus more if we've gone big and then down in increments to the small?
Yeah, you're right. I've just seen it before. If you go for the small picture and it says what you want to say, you don't bother looking at the big picture. And a big picture might tell a different story, especially in an hour's time. It's that classic of just looking out the window. It looks lovely. Come on. But what you don't notice, there's a storm just up the road heading quite fast towards you. You head out to the east, you turn around. Where the heck did that come from? Yes. So if you're not careful, that's one of the main points I've always thought about. Is you will not necessarily look at the big picture if the small gives you what you want. But if you go big picture first and it looks pretty, and you get down to the small picture and it looks pretty, happy days. But yeah, so the big picture, without doubt, is what we do first of all, isn't it? Look on big scale.
Oh, can I ask another question?
What you can say?
On the mapping that we're looking at, on the meter that's red,
Yep.
after the Q and H, I presume, is 1013. It says AMB. Is that ambient, or does that stand for something else?
No, it should be. It's a.
The colour code.
Yeah, it's a colour code for the airfield. It might be a military airfield. Let me pick on.
Yeah, not worried about red, but after it all written, it says AMB.
Maybe
Yeah,
it
so
means ambiguous.
Oh, thank you, John.
Ambiguous.
Yes, it's
I don't know. I'm making it up, but it could be.
sounded good.
Have you just made that up?
Yeah.
At the end of
I
Amber or ambiguous.
down here, I thought it was amber warning. Let's get
Is there an equal sign after it?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can't see that properly.
Yeah, see, look, Odium, for instance, has got green color code. So it's
Okay.
because I just managed to somehow click on a military site in France, and so it's their military color coding.
Ah, fair enough.
Because they use a color code similar to kind of what we're looking at the moment, but to give an idea of cloud-based visibility, etc., those sorts of things. So that is my understanding. Because if you look at all the others, they won't have anything like that. Yeah,
So if it's a civil airfield, it won't have a color code or anything.
yeah, it's a civvy color. If it won't have the color code if it's a civvy
Yeah.
airfield.
So Aero Weather app that I've got.
Yep.
I use, I'm not sure who provides that. Is that from the Met? Is that going to go with the Met Office? Or?
Well, this is so it's another good question. The various apps that are available, and there's a myriad of them, isn't there? Where are they getting their information from?
Get the information from the same place, don't they?
Do they?
But,
Are you sure?
There's lots of the big companies have finished their head office
Oh,
because they're not as accurate as some. So like, I'm not sure it's mad, but Tesco and Sainsbury's and all that have gone for private contractors because they need to judge what they're putting out. If it's going to be sunny this weekend, they want barbecue coals out.
Yeah.
a lot of them must use NOAA because they have
There are some
most
big
global
things.
coverage.
It is, yeah, Aero Weather, unless they've changed it, you get it from NOAA, which is the
administration.
that's it.
That's
Oh.
the Met Office's US counterpart.
Yes, it is.
But we
Ah.
Yeah,
use
so
the
Aero
global
Weather
coverage.
used to use. No, I don't. I'm just actually having a quick look now to see if it's still the same. It tells you on it somewhere. Customer Views Report database errors.
appreciated
What is a
the
data?
US information. It may not be as accurate as a UK
That's
Met
funny.
Office.
No,
that's
because
maybe
UK Office
as well.
focuses mainly on the British Isles, but no one has a global coverage.
Yeah, NOAA's global.
Okay.
I'm sure. I mean, somebody look it up. Or maybe, but yeah, I'm sure Aero Weather is NOAA.
Use Aero.
No,
That should remain then.
but if you look at TAF or METAR, it'll be identical to what you get out of the Met Office, of course. Yes, because they're probably pulling the info from the Met Office in the UK. But say NOAA's got far greater reach, hasn't it?
Yeah.
This is why you can see on some of these apps. That's right. You'll look on the app and you'll get the weather for all sorts of countries. Whereas we just discovered the Met Office. No,
Yeah.
you won't, because it's very much the UK's Met Office, isn't it? And so forth. So yeah, just make sure you know where your app is getting its weather information from, that it's
Yeah.
going to be some sort of reputable source, not just some randomer sitting somewhere that's bored and they're typing it as they go. Oh, looks all right. Let's just create a TAF and a METAR.
It's only using their own data, or if they incorporate NOAA's data as well.
I don't know, so I'm not going to attempt to answer that.
Which
Yeah.
is the one, just looking, is it Aero Weather where you can where actual users can upload photos of local weather?
That's not one.
Don't think Aero Weather.
Use, yeah, no,
Is it?
is
it?
user weather images. Yeah, so it is
All right.
Aero.
Well,
Aero
we'll come.
Weather.
Cool, just pause that thought. How are we doing on time, Sam? Just pause it, because really good questions and stuff that I do want to get on to. I just want to quickly whiz through a bit more of MAVIS, whatever we're going to call her. So you can see that interactively, or visually, I should say, sorry. Yeah, this is pretty good. And this actually fairly well matches our one over there. It's not bad, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
different colours, because our one uses blue, for instance, for sort of marginal stuff. But it's pretty good. And it ought to, because it's all getting their information more or less from a similar source, aren't they? At the end of the day, just how it's going to be presented to us. That's really important to make sure you fully understand that. Okay. And then, as we saw, when we get onto a weather, we've got different things we could have. Yeah, there is. We could stick Latin long on there if we want to as well, of course. We've got lightning observations. Don't think we're going to see much, if I'm honest. And I can't say I've actually seen what it does. when there's lightning. Is there anywhere? Oh, hang on, what's that? Yes, there we go. Right. And there'll be a little key, which will be sort of, okay, which way around is it? So, yeah, I'm used to seeing the lightning radar white being within the last 20 minutes and red up to 2 hours ago. So I'm going to have to relearn this. But yes, it's pretty good. And what it can do is if it's moving, you can see the movement of it because it goes in this instance. It would go from the purple towards the red. So you can see and track the movement. But don't forget, please, lightning. You can't predict it because it just happens, doesn't it? But it does tend to come out of CBs. So you need to know where the CBs are because it can just appear on a map out of nowhere. So again, having that big picture of knowing where there might be CBs, don't be surprised then if the lightning suddenly appears on the map. And it's not a forecast. It's just a right now and back in time. But yeah, that's not bad. So we've got that, for instance. We've got surface pressure. I'll have to zoom out for that. And you can see there's the little key. And we've got sort of, we can go in our steps and animate it. Where's the, I thought there was a play button. That's my screen, so I don't know. Okay, so this kind of, in my view, unless I'm not missing it. There's no play button. Let's just check it's not hiding under everybody. Nope.
Is it play just? Oh no, it's not. Oh, is it to the right of the yellow bar? Is that play?
But no, that's just one step at a time. That, I'm guessing, we'll just skip to the end.
There's a play button on the left-hand side of the time bar.
Oh, I think I'm hiding.
Yeah,
is it under, down
literally
here?
below the time, literally below the time where it's the UTC time.
Oh, I can't see it for some reason on my screen because I'm sharing my screen. It's something.
No, the time on the left-hand side where it says forecast updated. There.
Is it down there?
Yeah, left of that.
Oh, I can't. Oh, yeah, I can't see it for some reason. Okay, so it's there. That's handy.
It is there.
It is there. Thank you. I was thinking, I'm sure there was, but for whatever reason, it must be because I'm sharing my screen. I can't quite see. There's a different symbol down there about. Oh, yes, it does appear when I do that. Got it. Yeah, that's weird. I can't see that. What if I can? Hey, there we go. I can click on it. Just the symbol is hiding. So there we are. At least we get an animation. But I have to say, I did prefer on the actual Met Office app on our phone. It gave you a broader view of the surface pressures, and it also added all the fronts in there. And I'm missing that. I really like that. But hopefully it'll arrive. So I presume if I press it again, it's pause because we can't see what it says. Cool. Precipitation rates observed. So this is rainfall radar. So this is actual, which is something we use all the time. But what I would also like is when it would seamlessly go into the forecast. So this is now a forecast. Oh, it might. No, it'll go back in time a little bit. Look, it'll go back a couple of hours. So theoretically, that's actual. And I'm guessing that'll still work as a play.
I mean, that's useful, isn't it?
Oh, we use it all the time.
Because I've got some weather apps which are not helicopter apps, and it says rain radar, but it's not accurate.
No, so yeah, you
They made it up.
But of course, the second it goes past, so this is all now forecast.
Yeah.
So it's its best guess of what it's going to do. Yeah. So this will constantly change.
Used to do where.
Yeah, that was not bad actually. There was. Yeah, when the previous rainfall radars we've seen, the actual looks like one, and then it clicks over to the forecast, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
So how can it possibly jump significantly? But that actually, there's no timeline. There's no line down there. So often what you'll find is there's a line down here that shows when it's gone from actual to forecast, unless all this was the forecast. as a thought. Hang on. So let's say we're all learning. So if that's 6:30, just memorize that image because I'd like to know. And this is the actual observed. So let's have a look at the 6:30.
Too bad.
Oh, it's pretty close actually.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, but it's not bad. I've got it on my phone. The difference between the two. It's actually not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good actually. Well, that's quite handy. So just don't forget though that one of them you're looking as a forecast and the other one you're looking as an actual, and you'd have to stitch the two together. But I like to say when it went from one to the other, so you could just scroll back and forth, see what's actually happening and what's forecast, and see if it's matching. That's a very useful tool for us without a shadow of a doubt. And then there's a whole load of. I'm not going to go through everything. Oh, it's just the lighting observations that we already sort of looked at, but there isn't any at the moment. But again, don't forget you can pin them to your favorites.
Is cloud base an option there, or is that?
I can't see the Nope. Great, I'm getting lost now. Back. That's all right. How can I not see that? Sorry, you said
Cloud base.
Cloud visibility. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
And again, it's going to be depending on how you set it up, or possibly if they will change it. But there we are. You get an idea. So a mean sea level, scattered or above. So here's something we've got to just watch out for. I'm glad that's actually come up there. Have you ever noticed on aero weather, sometimes you'll look at a METAR. We'll just pick Luton for a minute. I don't know if it's going to be. Yeah, it does actually do it. So it says on the face of it, just up there, it says Luton 10K or more with scattered clouds at 3,300. And you think, fantastic, brilliant. But then when you click on it, it says, okay, it's still fine, but scattered clouds at 2,200.
Oh.
Then scattered clouds at 3,300. Where did the 2.2 come from?
Oh yeah, the headline is better than when you drill down.
Yes. And so sometimes you look at it and go, for instance, Luton is the clouds scattered at 2,000 feet, which is great, brilliant, you know. We can safely fly underneath that, no problems at all. And then you click on it and it's like, whoa, scattered at 400, or, you know, something else down at 400 feet. Where did that come from?
Spirituality.
Can be, but why? And here, look, this is the color coding at mean sea level, scattered or above, which I'm reading into that the cloud would need to be at least scattered or greater, i.e. overcast, broken, those sorts of things. So they don't consider few cloud for a start off, because it's just considered that's just so spread out, don't worry about it. And a lot of aviation, single engine stuff will happily fly above scattered clouds, whereas we don't. Because that's starting to get a little bit interesting, isn't it? If you fly above scattered clouds.
But I'm not sure I understand that then. So what you're saying, their definition of scattered is more closely.
No, the definition's the same, but as far as producing an image is concerned, it might be that they don't take into consideration other, for instance, few cloud just don't exist, as in they wouldn't take that into consideration. So again, watch that with your apps and your METARs. You might at the front of it say Happy Days, it says 2,000 feet. It's only when you click on it, whoa, where did that come from? There's a much lower layer.
You're saying you need to just drill down.
You need to drill down into it. So it might be the same here. So just bear that in mind. And so again, this is just a bit of a visualization, isn't it? Once again, just giving you a bit of an idea that certainly in this bulky area, the cloud is going to be either scattered cloud or thicker than that, i.e. coverage, and it's going to be possibly down to 0 feet, somewhere between 999 and 0. But as a visual thing, yeah, it's not bad actually. We can see we're in this sort of greyish area. So somewhere between sort of 5 and 15,000 feet maybe, or certainly 5 to 9,000, maybe 4 to 9,000 with the grey. It's all right, it's not bad. Sort of useful. It's going to be one of those things, the more you get used to it, the quicker you can interpret it or find the info and then interpret it, can't you? At first it might feel a little bit clunky and tricky to find.
Just from that map, can't you really?
Yeah, so again, this is going to move.
Yeah.
So it gives you a bit of an idea of what they're expecting. I mean, with a bit of luck, we're all far. Whoops, let's go back to wherever it was.
We're heading west.
So somewhere around about 1 in the morning, with a bit of luck, we're all fast asleep. or thereabouts, or certainly not trying to go flying. And then by 8 o'clock, by the time we got to work, with a bit of luck, it's hey, not too bad, but possibly some lower clouds sort of probably coming in from the west. And just by habit, you see the way I'm quite often going back out again, zooming out because I want to look at the big picture, and then it's like, let's home in a bit more to absolutely. So we just default to it all the time. Let's look at the big picture, and then we'll start to drill down into the smaller one. Good. Right, how do I get back off of this now?
They don't have an option to freeze the frame and extract that data like in a PNG or PDF?
No idea. You let me know. You have a go. So,
On your phone, you can just capture the screen.
okay, so you found your 214s, 215s. So things we often use. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So there's our classic 215.
Sure.
And I would guess that's going to download it. And yep, sure it does. So I can open that separately. That's no problems at all. So that's not that dissimilar. This is quite good. It just sort of reminds us of the numbers, etc. over here. Look, active 2 to 11, etc., etc. That's pretty good. Good old responsibility of the user to make sure it's accurate. A corrected one. So that's cool. Happy with that. And 214. Yeah, that looks fairly standard stuff. Okay, download button.
Oh, you can do.
Yeah, you can download it. Yeah, and just print it. So you see when I did that, look there.
Oh, yeah.
It's downloaded as a PDF, so they could just print it out. Because I'm guessing if I do that, it's just going to print the whole page. Oh, yeah, it's not capable of working it out yet. Oh, look, it does do it as a second page if I really wanted to. So that would work. Oh, Christ, I can't see it. Sorry. Anything else you want to quickly click on over there?
Surface pressure. So they've changed this one a little bit. With the analysis.
Yeah, so at the moment it's not animated, is it? Yeah. So it's this is a much better big picture overview, isn't it, compared to the one we saw that's animated, and I think the one was in black and white as well, wasn't it? But this is not animated. It's not the end of the world. We've got to just click on these. And this is
the other one was just literally over the UK one.
And this is the here and now, because you can see, and then of course you go on to the forecast, so you can start clicking through the days, which is fine. But for visualization, I think it would be better if you could scroll and you could see the movements better, which is how the app used to work. It was really good. I mean, it obviously changed constantly with the computer modeling, etc. Because what they sometimes got, they've got at least 10 models they've got, and then somebody picks the best one. And every now and then, oh no, actually I've changed my mind, it's that one now. So it jumps a little bit. But it was definitely better when you could scroll, I thought, because it's animated. You get a bit better of how fast things are moving, the directions.
Perhaps they're only calculating the data for those points in time now. Perhaps they changed their modelling.
Yeah, which is what it was traditionally as. It's just they also did an animated version of it. It would just sort of stitch it together, and it was good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah, I found it very useful to just be able to see these things move.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's cool. That's all right.
Well, I've just noticed that I just realised that this is supposed to be going live in 2 weeks' time.
Correct, it is. So yes, this is.
Are you confident they'd have cleaned it all up by then, so that it's usable?
Yeah, of course. Hey, look, it's one of those classics. We all get used to what we're used to, don't we? And we kind of, if you're not careful, you end up liking what we're used to. We don't like change because we want to be able to find this information quickly, efficiently, and then with the least amount of presses of buttons, etc. And when it's suddenly all changed, oh man, I've got to relearn it all, and it feels a bit clunky at the moment. Doesn't feel quite as seamless as it was. But it'll be, as soon as they get rid of the old site, it'll be, well, get on with it, get used to it, because this is what it is. But hopefully it will, look up here. You can always click on it and just tell them what you think and help them to improve it. They do seem very open to that, which is good. So I shall say about that whole animation. Please, can we have the animation of the surface pressure with the fronts as well? Put it all together like you used to, because that was great. I thought it was great for teaching. So if they can do that that'd be most helpful.
The last time that the volcanic ash advisory is there, the bottom actually came in handy.
Well, God, that was actually quite a long time ago.
There was like 10 years ago this massive volcano eruption in
It
Iceland.
was it was over 10 years ago. It's 15 years ago, wasn't it? When we got the volcanic ash from
Oh, yeah.
Iceland.
Yeah.
It was Iceland, wasn't it? Yes,
Singular National Park.
Yes.
that's right. And it grounded all the aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always from Iceland.
Yeah.
I literally read about that in an article this morning about the value of booking a package holiday.
Yes.
It was I don't know if anyone else read the article, and it mentioned the volcanic ash.
Well, if you book a package holiday, you're covered.
Yeah, because
Atoll protected, etc.,
Yeah,
etc. Yeah,
yeah.
rather than if you
And
get
it
it,
mentioned
if you
that
did it all off your own back,
This is a really
and if
long,
you got insurance.
really long
Yeah,
name. The volcano was really long.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So since 15 years ago, that wasn't
Well,
used that much.
let's have a look.
That long ago, they were to do exercises.
It
was the same year Anakin was born.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good grief. So, oh, not bad then, actually. So it was 15/16 years ago then. Hey, not bad at all. Well, there we are. Look.
Yeah,
You can
there's
see.
some recent ones in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
Go on and somebody have a go. Presta Haknukua. Is there a graphic? I've not even. Not validly expired.
Volcanic ash expected.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
This is an exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just sort of,
Oh, just move on with it.
it's just yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just an exercise, isn't it? There we go. And the problem for us in flying in helicopters was not that it was going to stick to the turbine blades, etc., of our engines, as if we're in the pistons. It was potentially blocking up the air filters, for instance. Yeah, literally that, and the potential erosion of the blades. Bit of possible static being created, those sorts of things. But yeah. Okay. Any questions on what we've seen so far? Right, how do I easily get back to where I was?
I'd like to add one thing, seeing as we're talking about the big picture.
Yes.
So the Met Office do something called a 10-day trend, which looks at a load of different
Is it
models,
red and
including
climate?
European model,
Oh,
different companies that do it. And then puts it all into a nice visual format where you can go through and it looks at the possibilities, what could happen here, what could happen there. So it takes the surface pressure charts, looks at the jet streams. So it's great for expanding your knowledge of the upper weather and how that affects the lower levels as well. So definitely recommend watching that. I think it comes out every 3 to 4 days. And it's usually a very enthusiastic guy that does it. So it's quite interesting just to laugh at him with anything else.
Even better than Country Farm by the sound of it. What was that called again?
10-day trend.
10-day trend.
Yeah, just as an example. So we've had those warm spells over the last 2 days, one where it got up to 18 degrees here.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was when you and I were flying, and we put the aircraft away wet, didn't put the cover on it because it was wet. And then we went to clean it the next day, and where the water dried, a load of dust was kind of left all over it in the droplets. So that was possibly sand from the Sahara, because it was a southerly wind that came up, kind of deposited that dry.
Yeah, it was.
Left all over the
What day was that? Was that Friday or the weekend?
No, Friday. Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, because I drove my car to the south coast, and when I got up
It's
on the
covered in
weekend,
dust.
it was literally badly covered in dust.
So that was the
They
Sahara.
talked about it, and they said the moon that night was going to be
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Sahara.
They were very bright sunsets as well,
Yeah.
weren't they, I think, with the sand. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See there. Sorry, I didn't spot that. Because that's hiding. Right, fine.
Can I ask what you typically do in terms of sequence of weather? You know,
Yeah, so we'll come to that. So have we seen enough of MAVIS at the moment? Anybody got any other questions about it?
Is it? Has anyone decided if it's MAVIS or MAVIS?
Well, I guess it ought to be MAVIS, shouldn't it?
You ask AI, it'll give you an answer.
It will give you. It will. But is it the correct one? I don't know. Who knows, sort of thing. How about the London helicopter forecast? That's always a good one. Look, about heli lanes. Stella, have you seen that before? Oh, she might not be there. It gives you forecast for the heli lanes. Okay. All right. We can always come back to that. Anybody's got any further questions on it? Yeah, have you seen that one before, Stella?
That's in MAVIS as well, is it?
Yeah.
Whereabouts is that?
Oh,
sorry.
It's all right.
So that was the old one as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had it as sort of a bookmark, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. So if I just close it down, see, sometimes I have to find. They're all down here.
Oh,
so the reports, but you can bookmark them. So it's actually easier on your phone then because it appears at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
So all I've got to do is just hit the pin, and it'll stick it up the top there.
Gotcha. That's handy. Yeah.
But I mean, that's good. Don't get me wrong, but we ought to be able to come up with that ourselves from looking at the taps and METARs and the rainfall radars and everything else. We should be able to come up with exactly the same information. I wouldn't personally need that London CTA helicopter forecast. I can look at all the other stuff around, and that's how we build that bigger picture. Is looking at where the weather, once again, looking at the big picture. Where's the weather actually coming from? What's coming? Is it good weather? Is it bad weather? Is it the same weather? How long is it going to last? How quick is it going to arrive? Okay, so let's just say some bad weather coming like tonight. Can we track its movement? How fast is it going to get here? What do all the forecast suggests? And then we'll look at, okay, let's look at the actual reports. What they forecast, is it actually happening? Or is it happening quicker? Or is it slower? Etc. etc. And we can easily find the information ourselves. But that's the general gist of looking at that. Okay. I said we can always come back, don't worry. So you asked about what sort of sites and apps that we all sort of tend to use and look at. Well, at the end of the day, the information is probably coming mostly from two sources, isn't it? Probably Exeter, the Met Office, or from NOAA, or a combination. That's probably where it's all coming from. So to a degree, would it be true to say no matter what site you look at, app you look at, they're all going to tell you, well, they should all tell you the same thing. It's just how it's presented. So it now kind of boils down to your preference of how you like it presented to you. Whether you want a really complicated, complex app, or if you just want it pretty damn simple. What do you prefer? Is it an app or a site that you can tweak to make it exactly how you want it? So not too simple, but not too complicated. Be able to find the information you use on a regular basis quickly, whereas it's still capable of doing many other things, but you tend maybe not to use those functions very often. And so it's true. I mean, aero weather does seem to be one that certainly heli pilots use quite a lot, and it's one I found in very early days. And I've been through quite a few. So, actually, you know, I think at the time it was free. It's always a plus, isn't it? No subscription or anything, and it just did exactly what I needed it to do. It loaded quickly. It was nice and simple. It had a decode function, which was great for training as well. I could look at the raw and then decode it, and it just did what I needed to do. And so I've always used that one, simple as. But there are only tabs and METARs.
Depending on what you're doing, you know, if I was going to be flying near, then I might use one app. But if I was going to be flying to Wales or something, and you're going through, you know, a number of different areas, then that's a very different thing, isn't
You
it?
might find there's an app dedicated to the weather in Wales that gives you sort of slightly more detailed forecasting of what would be useful for you as a pilot in Wales.
So, let me mention SkyDemon. I've never used that for weather. But...
Yeah, so first of all, we just need to, I've already said it once, the Met Office ought to be, first of all, our straightaway default for the weather.
Yeah.
That is literally where our weather information comes from, as well as NOAA, but the Met Office. So when we're looking at 214s, 215s, that's where that's where it is. Simple as that. But they can appear in other places potentially. You know, if a website is allowed to link to it and embed it or whatever, yeah, it might be in there. But wherever it's coming from, just check its validity. Make sure it is actually for the time period that you are going flying. It's not old information that goes for anything we look at, isn't it? Just double check. It's not old info. Well, the TAF is a TAF, and the METAR's a METAR. So don't matter where it comes from, if it's a Luton one, it ought to be the Luton one. Simple as. But what you will find is some apps or sites or programs will refresh quicker and automatically as well, for instance. I'm not too keen on the auto refresh because I quite like to see what it was in case, and then I'll have a look at what it is now so I can see the difference between the two. So SkyDemon does just not everything we've just seen, but does an awful lot. It's very, very good. SkyDemon would tend to be far more of a, if you're going to use a planning app, but it's also very good for when we go flying. And it does a pretty good job of the weather. It has rainfall radars on there, for instance, which is very good. And sorry, just put with me. Sorry. But one of the things we don't want to do is just do a one-stop shop jobby. We just want to use different sources of information because sometimes it just isn't all there. And this is where SkyDemon does an awful lot, but it might not do everything I want it to do. Don't think the 214s and 215s are on SkyDemon, for instance. I'm pretty sure they're not, are they?
Synoptic charts.
Synoptic charts, these things. It does rainfall radar. That's cool. I've asked them about could they possibly put the lightning one on there as well live, would be quite useful for when we're flying.
It doesn't do a huge simulation of what's ahead, does it?
Yeah, the rainfall radar does 1 hour ahead. But don't forget, bearing in mind it's potentially a bit more about flying as well. So yeah, when you're in the air, without a shadow of a doubt. But SkyDemon is a good, for weather-wise, it's a good all-rounder. It does a lot of what we've just seen, but it wouldn't be my default for the weather particularly. Yeah. That you have asked, share my screen with you. Just give me a second and I'll put SkyDemon up on there. Share, where is it?
I've never used SkyDemon for weather. If you say I'm going from here to there, will it give you weather along your route?
Yeah, sure will.
But it does, yeah.
And surrounded quite.
Yeah.
But it's all, oh God, how do I move this lot?
Like if I plot a route from I live near Stansted to here, it will give me as far up as Lake and Heath and Wattisham and.
Yeah.
So just bear with because it's just updating. I
I
automatically clicked on the update. So something we have to do is if we're going to be using things like SkyDemon, etc., especially if it's involving navigation, we must make sure it's got the latest software and mapping on it. So I just defaulted to clicking yes. So it's just updating it. So it's just ruined my screen sharing. Yeah, so we'll see in a second. SkyDemon will give an overview of the weather as well. Yeah, it's good. A bit like, although the map's just turned off now because it's after 7 o'clock. If we have the overlays of the weather on SkyDemon and zoom out, it'll give you a big picture.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Because if you're flying some distance, say you're flying to Wales, going to have a lot of different weather.
Well, this is Wales was the area.
Yeah, well, exactly. you guaranteed rain when you get there.
So
if you had to sort of work out which airfield you're going to go past and everything,
sorry, folks. It's just
gives you the regs
which one is
as
it
well.
on?
So this does, but you could set your own parameters. SkyDemon.
Wales is a bit of a difficult one because there's Haverford
What's
West.
it trying to do?
Cardiff it sort of does, but there's not really much around there to go with, is there?
No.
So I always
try and
really
start it
go
and see what
with
it does.
Webcams. So if you're going to be flying through the mountains,
Yeah.
at least you can have. I mean, there's Abercarn's got one. There's one by Merthyr Tydfil, so you can actually see what's happening there.
All right.
Right. Yeah.
Where has everybody gone? Hey, you're back again. Right, here we go. Right, hopefully you can see SkyDemon now. Somebody give a thumbs up. Oh, not yet. It might take a few moments. Yay, there we go. Okay, and if I remember rightly, I can move that around. Yes, I can. Good. Okay, so up the top here is all the sort of the weather tabs. If I take them all off, they all disappear. I'll just zoom in a bit for a minute as well. But if I click on taps and meters, so the little green V's you can see, there it is. If I hover over it, about halfway down, you can see the METAR for London Stansted 6 minutes ago and the TAF for London Stansted. So it will show them all on there. And again, changing the settings will make it turn into either green, amber, or red as necessary. But you adjust you do your own in I think it's in mapping. You'll change those settings as to what you would like. We can have the wind up there, and the wind will be at whatever I've put down here. So, for instance, around here at the moment, we'll pick on this one. It says 221 degrees at 31 knots at 2,100 feet. But if I push that up, I wonder how high up we go. Let's push my luck a bit. Hey, 50,000 feet. It might not report on that. No, it's too high up. I thought I'd give it a try and see what it does. 12,500. You can see that at 12,500 feet, 253 degrees at 23 knots.
It gives you topography as well.
Yep, sure does. Depends on what you load onto it.
That's cool.
Why does it say the aircraft is outside its acceptable national centre of gravity limits?
Because I don't use the weight and balance on it, because I
Oh.
find it's a little bit of a pain with weight and balance.
Okay.
Now on the Cadbury, well, you can see it's pounds. Well, that's a bit awkward with the Cadbury being a metric helicopter. It's a bit of a pain, isn't it?
Yeah, you can change your change it to kilos, can't you?
Do you know what? I haven't used it for so long for that I haven't bothered.
Because I do use it for mine.
Do you?
Mine, pretty sure mine's in kilos.
Let's have a look. Weight and balance. Look, pounds.
No, mine's in kilos.
Oh, well, that's bizarre.
Yeah, look. I do actually use it. There'll be somewhere you can change your.
Well, there we go.
Is that a difference between a Windows and an app?
I wonder if it could be.
It'd be in your set. It'd be in your settings.
Yeah, it could just simply be that then. Where's
Oh, it's got an update, hasn't it? So
aircraft, Echo Hotel.
Function off. Video outputs.
Weight and balance. Well, that's weird. This one still says pounds on it as well. Well, that's very odd. That's something I'll look at later. But it'd be handy if you can change it then.
Purchase that version in the pound shop.
Okay, so up here, rainfall radar. So we can now overlay the rainfall radar on as well. And again, if we do the, if we zoom out for the bigger picture, you can quite clearly see it. And then up here, if you animate it,
That's pretty cool.
so if you look down here, timing wise, this is actual. And these marks give a bit of an idea of the wind strength and direction as well. And the little yellow marker, as soon as that goes into this shaded blue end, that becomes a forecast.
Not going after all. It's good, isn't it?
So that's now a forecast.
And that sort of mirrors what the Met Office is showing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes. It's quite visual.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, without doubt. But it'll only go an hour ahead.
Right.
So it went to 8:30. So if I
Oh,
pause it and
Yeah.
drag the little yellow cursor, look.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if it does it on here. If I move this up and down. Oh, yeah, there we are. If I drag my cursor, I've double tapped and move up and down. Look at the wind vectors. What will it go up to? 24,000. Look at the difference up there. It won't go higher than 24,000 feet. Then as I come back down, you can see the different wind direction. So for instance, over here, it's 90-degree different.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, completely different. So I set that to 2,100 by default, sort of thing. So you can see Sky does a lot of weather information. It'll have this sort of TAFs, METARs. It's good as a overview. Look, of you can see all the greens or the ambers, the reds, the rainfall radar, the upper wind vectors. You can already tell that one's over 40 knots, for instance, because of the four little flecks it's got coming off of it, etc., etc. So very good. And depending on how many map layers you got on there, it does the weather across Europe as well. It'll give you the weather across there, as we can see. But won't give the lightning radar. So you can need a separate source of information for that. Okay, so yeah, I tend to use AeroWeather, and a bit like we saw on the SkyDemon map there, by default on my home screen, if you like, or my home of you won't be able to see that easily on there, but all of the top listing, I've got Luton, Stansted, Heathrow, Northolt, City Airport as my kind of default ones. Why is that? Literally surrounds us. Yep. So I can take all of those. So if the weather's not suddenly significantly changing, I can take all of those and a bit of an average, and I'll know where Elstree is, because Elstree doesn't produce a TAF or METAR, of course. So I'll take a bit of an average of all of them. Or if I know there's some weather coming, we'll start to look further afield and watch their METARs. And you can literally see them change, seeing it coming across the country in a text format and see it change. You can change the area you're in. You can click nearby, for instance, these sorts of things as well. And many other apps will do exactly the same thing. Rainfall radar. So I'd have that. So on our telephone, so we can check rainfall radar. Now I pluck that typically off of the Met Office. So this is just simply the Met Office app, but I've kind of saved this one part. Well, actually, no, this is not the Met Office. It's off the Met Office as a web page that then turned into an app on the screen. So it's just simply the rainfall radar. And the reason why I did this is because there's the actual, and it seamlessly will scroll into the forecast, but you can see the jump that we've been talking about. Yeah. But at least I get what I wanted, which was the actual moving straight into the forecast. Yeah. All in one go, and that'll go for several days ahead as well, so that's quite handy. I say they used to do this for the pressure with fronts, but it's still, I'm having a look to see if it's on there. No, it's still not there yet. They said they're going to do that. So that's my rainfall radar.
Change units, Paul.
You're still getting on it.
Literally took me that long to find it. Change units in settings setup.
So change units setup and
change. This one that says change units.
But that's going to be that's going to be everything though. So then the Robinson ones are then going to be turned into metric.
No, because you select your aircraft, don't you, when you do your planning? So you'll have different aircraft set up.
Well, this is just simply units for the map. Do you mean in aircraft? So there's the aircraft, for instance, but I looked at this just a second ago.
So it's got weight in there, which I'm assuming it's got kilograms or pounds.
Yeah, I already looked at that. Look, no, look there. Won't let me change.
Different on the phone. That's where I found it.
And where did you just change units?
Change units there. It gives you that.
Yeah, where's the aircraft one in there though? That's your map units. That's not the aircraft units.
Wait.
Whereabouts? Oh, whereabouts? Sorry, I can't see.
About halfway down there.
Oh, yes, it does. Okay, but that would be for everything, wouldn't it?
Universal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you do it on a per.
No, I need to do it per aircraft basis. But that's okay because we tend not to use this for weight and balance anyway. we use Excel spreadsheets or the actual book itself. So the students will have to be able to quite capable of doing
Yeah,
waypoints
by longhand, right?
by longhand first of all. Yes, most definitely. Then you can have the apps and the spreadsheets, because if you now do it longhand, if an app or a spreadsheet throws up an error, or you just type one thing wrong, one decimal point or whatever, you can easily spot it and go, hang on, that shouldn't equal that. I know that. It's way out where it should
Yeah,
be.
this is on an app. You're right. This is on an app, whole
Yeah,
app basis.
whole app.
So it's
I've only got one edge.
it's not that it's not that
Not
flexible.
flexible
You've got
enough.
multiple
Yeah,
aircraft,
which is why
yeah.
I've kind of left it, not bothered with it.
Speaking of longhand, can I add something else?
Yeah, of course.
So synoptic charts, they are literally a Bible. So I mean, these are great for actually visualizing what's going to happen. But if you look at the synoptic chart, everything is on there.
Yeah.
So we know that a warm front's coming in, and if we know what kind of weather the warm front brings, so we see that cirrus, then we see all the different kinds of stratus clouds.
Yeah.
We can pretty much predict everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if we look at that and then go and look at the smaller picture, that should just confirm everything that we've learned from the synoptic chart.
Yeah.
So if you want an overview for the next few days, it's a great go-to.
Yes.
That's right. So that was back where we were looking
So
at
is that
earlier.
215, is it?
Just the surface
The
pressure
website.
chart.
Yeah, yeah.
So the 215 will kind of decode all the information that's in the synoptic chart.
Right.
But this is literally just this.
It's
Yeah, oh, that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
the only thing you have to watch out for is they do have a habit of changing them. So you think you've got a handle on them, and then next time you look, it's
changed.
changed. What did we have? We had a fun
Trough as well,
a trough. It appeared out of nowhere, didn't it? I said, "God, I said, you've seen the trough with the barbs coming off it both sides," and stuff like, "No, what are you on about? The one that's down the middle of the UK. This was the other day." So, "No, what are you on about?" I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I've imagined it. If I clicked on, no, there it is." And so it's, "No, it isn't. Look, today there you go. Have a look now." Just update. Yeah, and suddenly this whopping great trough appeared down the middle of the country, wasn't it? Yeah. Appeared out of nowhere.
Just compose all that. Look at this. Let's look at the same
We just make it up
information
as we go along.
That's right. And it's the big picture. So here's, we're looking at midnight tonight and then into 12 o'clock tomorrow. And we can see, the fronts that we've had approaching this afternoon, supposedly not quite an occluded front for here, but either way around, still not bringing particularly nice weather. There's a little trough heading off over towards France. But for us, generally, not bad. The isobars are reasonably spread out, etc. Yeah, there's a whole load of information in there.
Yeah.
So what else as far as apps are concerned? What else have we got?
So if you were going to go
Oops.
on flight from here to somewhere, what would be your sequence of events?
Yes, you did ask that, didn't you? There's one last one I want to quickly just show. Bear with 1 second, then we'll go into it. So here's one I use that I found quite useful. Oops. Windy.
This is what I mentioned to you a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Windy can do quite a lot. And again, it's another sort of visualization, depending on what map play you've got on there. I've got sort of wind on there for the moment, but you can just change it to whatever you like. And again, it's just quite a good overview visualization of the movements and tracking rainfall radars and God knows what else. But one of the very good things, although we're not going to get much use out of it tonight, is what I've currently got on the screen. These things, the webcams. Oh yeah, use those quite a lot. When we've gone on sort of trips with our people that have passed, etc., and we go fly around Wales, and we want to see whether we're going to be able to get over the top of Snowdon. We look at the webcam beforehand, literally while we're on the ground, go and have a look, because there's usually about 2 or 3 webcams all aimed at Snowdon. So you can clearly see whether the top's in the cloud or not. No, that's not an official meta or anything like that. It's just literally a camera, but how useful.
Yeah.
But by itself is no good, because
It's only a snapshot, isn't it?
yeah, and it could be 10 minutes, 33 minutes old or whatever.
10 minutes later.
Absolutely. When we think about the weather it goes over the top of mountains, it doesn't change quickly, but it gives us a bit of an idea as to whether they're in with a chance or not, and add that to the forecast, etc., and what we've read through everything else and the rainfall radars and everything. Yeah, it's just another little layer. It's just another little addition, but it can be really useful. I was using this the other day with Stella. We were going to go fly down the heli lanes, and I've been watching the webcams as well, because you looked out the window here and it looked all right. Hang on, which way around was it? No, it wasn't clear here, but over London it was clearing relatively quickly, but only in places. And the webcam that was down the city airport end, it's like blue sky and sunshine. And then you look at the one in London, yep, that's completely overcast. And literally only a short distance away, isn't it? So I was watching the webcams and I could see that from the ones around that out to the east of here was reasonably clear. The west is a definite no-go, and south, not a chance, and north was no good. And that's exactly what we could say tonight. We didn't flew around here just out to the east, did some emergencies and all these sorts of things. And that's the webcams I used amongst everything else. Because Stella, the forecasts were all over the place, weren't they? Where's Stop Sharing?
I think it was like amended like 3-4 times throughout the morning, the TAFs.
Yeah.
It's like amend. It'll clear up by 11. No, maybe 12. No, maybe 1. Maybe 2.
Yeah, I was fine that
But the weather was so localized that none of the reports would be able to show us that, because it's just a window around here of fairly open sky, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's one of those rare occasions where it was almost a case of looking out the window. I can see it's clear. I can see it's not clear. If we're going over there and not very far away either. And it was literally that, wasn't it? It really was that localized. Okay, so a quick order of what we might sort of use. So where would we start? So we come in the morning and we want to fly. When do we start looking at the weather?
Probably knows.
Before you leave the house, good.
That's quite good.
The day before.
Yeah.
Several days before. You know, I try and keep looking 5 days in advance the whole time. Now I've got a terrible memory, but anyway, if I look 5 days in advance, the next time I look, if it's changed, I know it's probably going to be quite changeable weather, and a couple of that with a few other things, you realise, yeah, there's a whole load of very unpredicted weather. Or if it stays quite the same, if I was to look at, for instance, this Saturday, let's just say it said it's a gorgeous, lovely day, and I kept looking at it each day, and it keeps saying it's a gorgeous, lovely day, there's a reasonable chance it will probably come true because it hasn't altered. But if it keeps changing, okay, it's changeable. So yeah, you can start several days in advance. It starts to get more difficult. 2 weeks in advance, almost impossible in reality. But anyway, so certainly the day beforehand. Yeah, the morning, absolutely, potentially before you leave home. And then when you get here, definitely you're carrying on with that. Is it still the same as what you've seen? So what we're going to look at first then.
It's not the chart.
That's a big chart.
Before we're
We're going to look out the window.
Instructors gave me some mate brief recently.
Yeah, that's right. The synoptic chart, you can get an awful lot from that. It doesn't necessarily give you the fine detail, but it gives you an awful lot. It gives you a good feel, doesn't it, as to if the wind's going to be strong, if it's going to be light, if there's bad weather coming, good weather, blah, blah, blah. There's a myriad of things you can get from that straight away. Good. And then what? yeah. Just one of those glancing things. Yeah, watch it though, because sometimes that's all green, and you look out the window and you think it's horrible, and then we unplug it and plug it back in, and it suddenly changes all the colours. It updates. It freezes sometimes. So hence, make sure you've got the latest information. Okay. Anyway, so synoptic charts is a very good place to start. Where are we going to go next? That's definite big picture stuff. We'll come down maybe a bit. Yeah, but that's where we'd go to find the next lot of information.
214, 215.
Yeah, so the 215 gives that overview of the UK, doesn't it? The 214 does what?
Scotland.
It does. So that's just purely for the wind, isn't it? For the planning purposes. But again, even from that, you start looking closer, you realise you see areas where the wind's stronger, because it does go down to 1,000 foot, for instance. Couple that in with your synoptic chart and it starts to match up, or starts to paint the picture. You can almost imagine doing the transparencies. You can lay the first one down, then you can lay the second one down, and and suddenly you build up all these layers of quite a big but detailed picture. Okay, and don't forget there's European 214s and 215s, but 414, 415s if you were going to. Okay. All right, so yeah, 214s, 215s.
A very short story about the 214, that's okay, just as a bit of a...
Yes.
But with my old job, we were doing a pipeline survey that started off at Gloucester going to Haverfordwest. And we usually fly at 500 feet above ground level. So we look at the 1,000-foot wind and that's pretty much it. Didn't really think to look at the 2,000 above just because, you know, we never go that high. But we were flying through the hilly areas which are up to 3,000 feet and a bit blasé, like, I'll be fine. So we'd got over, what's it called? The Brecon Beacons. And like, this is a bit bumpy, isn't it? Well, it turns out at 2,000 feet, the wind was up to 40 knots, and we hadn't quite realised. Because lower down, it was 10 knots. So even if you're planning on flying at 2,000 feet and not above, just make sure you have a look up to see how the winds are changing, because it'll give you a good indication of how turbulent it's going to be. Is there going to be wind shear? So, yeah, bigger picture is important.
Yes.
Remember, airflow is very laminar, like water. It can just be a completely different direction and strength.
Yes.
Okay, so synoptic charts, 214s, 215s, 215 very good for that broad overview with a broad forecast of the weather and cloud and those sorts of things. So we're kind of getting a bit smaller. So what's next? Yeah, that's right. You start to drill down into the taps and the metals, don't you?
For a few locations along the route? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember, depends on what you're doing. If you're just planning to go do circuits for an hour, you only really need to know what's coming in an hour's time. So what's here right now and what's coming in an hour, or maybe just a bit further beyond an hour, in case it's coming in a bit quicker than they forecast. So if it's bad weather that's coming, hurry up and get out there before the weather arrives. But you're only in the circuit, so that's not dreadful. You can literally see it from the sky, can't you? But vice versa, if the weather's not amazing, but actually in an hour's time it's getting better, then just wait. Happy days, isn't it? So yes, you'd want to look at least the length of time you're flying and beyond by at least a margin, depending on how big the NavX is or how late or delayed you might be, depending on what you're doing. And in particular, where the weather's coming from. Because what's happened has happened and gone. It's useful to know to see how good the reports were, you know, the forecasts, were they accurate? But it's what's coming, isn't it? That's interesting, whether it's good, bad, or no different. We need to know that and how fast it's moving, and whether that makes it better or not so good to go flying. And if there's any potential for CBs to be cropping up in the afternoon or whatever kind of thing. Okay. So somewhere in there you're going to chuck in things like the rainfall radar, especially if you know it's on the horizon, as it were, it is coming or going, so you can predict the tail end of it. God, the number of times we've had flying planned all day and I get a phone call from a student so I said, so I assume we're cancelling. Why? Well, it's chucking it with rain here. Yeah, give it half hour. You sure? Absolutely. And sure enough, we get here. Oh, it's suddenly very different now, isn't it? And it's great the rest of the day because they just hadn't looked at that. They just looked at the here and the now, and it's disgusting looking out the window. So yeah, that rainfall radar is very useful, isn't it, to try and work out if there's any mention of lightning. Keep an eye on the lightning radar, but remember it's not forecast, but it's lightning radar. So we start out it's just a layer you add on, isn't it, to it? What else have we got that we've been looking at?
Volcanic ash.
Yeah, volcanic, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, just in case.
So you don't check it.
One thing I don't think hasn't been mentioned yet. And you've got to be a bit careful with this because you're going on other people's unofficial reports. But for those airfields that actually don't have TAFs and METARs, the good old-fashioned phone call, because there's likely to be people who are flying around and can give you kind of some idea of cloud base, winds, even lightning. So got to be careful with it, but another way of doing it.
I used that once when I was flying over to the golf club out one side of Earl's Cone. And the weather was great, but there's a big lake there and it sits in a bowl, and the whole area was fogged out. Wow. Everywhere else was clear, and I rang Earl's Cone, and there was an instructor who just flown back over there, and he was like, no, the whole area is fogged. And we ended up driving, and when we got to within literally a few miles of the place, and it was there we are paid off, didn't it? And we didn't fly because of the report from the instructor just arrived back at Earl's Cone that morning.
Have had it the other way around, as we all have. So you phone an airfield, yeah, it's lovely here, yeah, we've got people flying. You get up in the air, like, oh my god, it's appalling. I don't know what they meant by, it's lovely. That was clearly somebody looking out the window. So you say, can be useful, yeah, without a doubt.
I guess if you've got to do PPR anyway and you're calling them, then you may as well.
That's right. Yeah. But just remember, say it's unofficial, so just be a little careful. Ask the questions.
Yes.
If they say, yeah, sun's shining, it's lovely, that doesn't mean it's lovely,
No.
does it? It might be if you're a spectator sitting outside or, you know, eating your sandwich.
Mm.
So you can always ask, oh, have you got anybody flying at the moment? No, we haven't actually. It's a Saturday. You've just said it's lovely and there's nobody flying. That sort of tells me something. Are you shut then? No, we're open. Are you coming? So don't be afraid to ask questions, you know. So what's it? Yeah, but is anybody, is somebody flying? Yeah. Could you, any chance you can ask them what it's like at the moment? They, you can hear on the radio, flipping hazy. I can't see a thing.
The place.
Yeah, so just ask the question, but just be careful because it's unofficial weather, isn't it? Like you said, but it can be useful. God, I've done it airborne in the past. I'm trying to get back to Cranfield one day, and I'm literally trying to find a bloody way around this wretched cloud. And I heard that somebody I know was flying, but they were on twin and instruments and whatnot. So I had a chat with them literally over the radio in the air. And he said, actually, it's pretty clear out. And he told me somewhere he'd seen where it's clear. And sure enough, I sort of headed out that way and managed to make it work. So there's lots of ways of getting information, even when you're airborne. But for the most part, we've now touched upon the real kind of main. Everything else is possibly just a permutation of what we discussed. You know, just another way of presenting the TAF, the METAR, the rainfall radar, the lightning radar, the cloud radars, and these sorts of things as well. You can see they can be quite useful sometimes. You can see where the clear areas are on them, but they're all just it just depends. A different app will just present it in a different way.
So it's the last thing to look out the window.
So yeah, Jonathan, yes, right. So we haven't got there's a tiny bit more. So we've got to get down to the TAFs and the METARs. The METARs now are getting quite local, aren't they? Especially around here, 'cause there's quite a lot of them. You go to a remote place though, go to the Lake District, nowhere. There's no METARs. There's no TAFs because there's nothing out there. So now it's really difficult. So you are proper relying on synoptic charts and webcams and things to try and have a look at what the weather is, because there's no METARs out there. There's not many in Scotland, is there? So they're a little bit sparse around there as well. So Wales is right, but Wales, Lake District, Scotland, around Norfolk area, all around that East Anglia, there's not an awful lot out that way. Down the West Country, down around sort of a bit further up from Newquay, along there, there's nothing there. No reports, no nothing.
Just make sure you've got friends all around the country.
Yeah. Okay, so what else have we got? Well, here at Elstree, we've got windows we can look out. We've got a tower, as we discussed. You could always potentially ask if somebody's flying, any chance they could give you a bit of a clue. But again, I've been airborne when I've heard people in the sky saying they're turning back because of the weather. And you sort of, what weather? There's nothing. There's not a single cloud in the sky. It's like, what on earth have they seen? But what they've actually seen is something where we started, is they've just seen moisture in the air, visibility that's been reduced, especially towards the sun, and they've interpreted that as a cloud. So they've just turned back. Fair enough, but you know, yeah. So it gets misinterpreted. Or like Stella and I the other day, the horizontal vis was masking the clouds. You couldn't see them, could you? Until you went above it, and you could see them really clearly, all the cumulus clouds. But they were hiding in amongst just the vapor in the air. And then we've got even potential that some airfields have is a weather station. Now we've got a really useful one here. Some of it is the weather information is not great, but there's a thingy that looks up at the cloud base, but it can look through the holes in the cloud. So watch out. So 1 minute it says the cloud base is 7,000 feet, and as you refresh it, it's gone down to 300 feet, for instance. But it has a useful one underneath it where it says the average, or the lowest it's seen over the last 30 minutes. But again, you'd need to have an understanding what the trend is, what's been forecast, to make useful of that, whether it's going up or coming down or staying the same. But so we've even got a local weather station, for here at Elstree. It can be quite useful. And then eventually, Jonathan, it's look out the window. But of course, in reality, you can't really see very far in the grand scheme of things. Cool. Any questions? Yes.
I'm a newbie, so this might be a very stupid question. Apologies.
No, there's no stupid questions, Sophie.
We talked a lot about the big picture.
Yes.
And I was wondering if pilots ever use an even bigger picture? So looking at, for example, not just Earth weather, but nearby space weather, because, for example, if say there are solar flares or solar eruptions, obviously that can affect high frequency radio communication. It can affect navigation reliability. So I know, for example, when I go out to open water, there is another app that I often use, which is like the solar satellite weather app. And I don't know if in addition, this is not something that one usually does on a daily basis, but I don't know.
There'd be no harm in doing that, would there? As long as it wasn't misinformation, but there'd be no harm in looking at that. We were all joking about the sort of ash dams, etc. The volcanic ash forecasts and whatnot, and same with bird tams. There's no harm in looking, because yeah, one day you might go, blimey, didn't know about that. The chance I would have heard it in the news. And when for us as helicopter pilots, we don't tend to fly particularly high or actually really that far, certainly not in one go. And the solar flares and whatnot don't really affect anything that's in our helicopters particularly. So they're not of a great concern to us because of what we do. And in a relatively flippant way, if the radio packed up, it really wouldn't be a big deal for what we do. It's not the end of the world.
Sorry, Paul, could you just recap what she said?
Oh, Sophie was talking about when she goes out onto open water in literally the middle of nowhere, she would look at, for instance, the weather that is coming from space, because it will interfere with navigation equipment, radio equipment. You know, if you're in the middle of an ocean somewhere, that's fairly important, isn't it?
Yes.
But for us around here, it'd be honestly, if the radio stopped working, it's not really a big issue. The heli will still fly. And navigation, we're navigating mostly by map, stopwatch, and compass. If the iPad didn't work, it's kind of, well, it's annoying, but doesn't desperately affect us.
So for fixed wing aircraft, like let's say on a transatlantic.
Yes, most definitely. Yes, if it thought it could affect it, but they have some quite clever new and old systems that don't necessarily just rely entirely on one source of info, i.e., satellites, etc. They have. Do they all still have inertia ones?
They've got to multiple sources.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure they still have some pretty old stuff. Basically, they've got gyros on board and that sort of thing, so that's completely unaffected by any of that.
Is AI being integrated into any of this as yet? So, like, you could say to AI, plot me a route from Elstree to the Scilly Isles, and is it safe to fly?
I would imagine so, but with all of the AI stuff, you know, don't. Yeah, careful. Because I've used it a few times with things. I thought, oh, that's really clever. Didn't know that. Then looked it up. Oh, it's because it's not true. That's not why I didn't know it, by the way. I just didn't know that. Yeah. So you've got to be a little bit careful. I would be far happy just doing it myself, without a shadow of a doubt. You could use it as a guide, as just a bit of a starting point if you wanted to, but I'd never blindly believe it. Not a chance. No way. Not for what we do. Because at the end of the day,
But it's got to get to a point where, like, there might get someone like SkyDemon.
What it can't do, it can't be me, it can't be Holly, it can't be you, can it? And
no, but
we're all different in what we
like
feel.
SkyDemon, if you're relying on that information in there to do your planning anyway, but they then integrate an AI tool that will basically plan it for you based on your parameters and give you a go no go. It's got to go that way, isn't it?
Do you want that though?
Well, no, I know
you mean. Yeah, and I think that's the worry.
Yeah.
Grant, next thing you know, you'll get AI to fly your helicopter for you.
Exactly, and that's, there are manufacturers that are already going down that route, aren't they? That you sort of get in and just say, I want to go. I want to go to the 2K, and off it goes. So yeah, exactly. There's no fun in that for a start off. If you're commuting, then maybe, but
The similar thing to this on Sunday. So SkyDemon can create an entire briefing pack for you. So that includes calculating your winds, your weather, and it just puts it in, say, a 10-page spread. Are you going to sit there and go through all of that with a fine tooth comb? It's very unlikely. But at least if you've planned it longhand, you've taken in a lot of that information that you probably wouldn't take in there. So I guess it saves time, and if time is money, great. But if you want to be a safe pilot and understand what you're doing, then there's a risk there.
Otherwise, you're going out completely blind. You're going just purely on the information that's been presented to you without an overall picture. Think of the things we've just discussed tonight on the weather, and that was only just scratching the surface. And to get a half decent handle on the weather, it takes years of watching seasons and cycles and kind of knowing sort of what typically happens and doesn't happen. Even then, it's still really unpredictable. As a weather forecaster, by all accounts, so something along the lines of, if you get it 50% of the time, 50% right, you're doing a good job. It's like, well, that's the long-winded way of saying. So if I get it right 25% of the time, I'm passing. This is great, isn't it? Now normally we have to get 75% to pass. So how comes 25% is a pass mark? But that's the truth behind it. And all that tells us is with the weather, for instance, is sometimes just how difficult it is, even with all the sophisticated equipment and people and God knows what, still get it wrong. Yeah.
And it's one of the biggest killers, isn't it, really, along with wires and things?
Exactly, yeah.
Making the wrong choices.
Which is why I would not be keen on something doing it all for me. I'd rather do it myself and look at the weather and have a good hand. I don't mind things assisting without a shadow of a doubt, presenting this information quicker or easier, but I want to be the one looking at it to make that have that understanding of what it's going to be like, how it's going to change, what have I got to watch out for, what's going to be my alternate plan, etc., etc. Yeah, without doubt.
Because if you're a pilot flying 5-6 times a day, you've got the experience to look at it and go, oh, that's not right. But actually, if you're flying once every month, once every 2 months, then actually it's very unlikely you're going to spot any anomalies.
So therefore, you need the practice of it. But yeah, I'm sure eventually, Grant, you're right. Yep, eventually there'll be no pilots. Eventually, one day. I think we've got a few years yet. I'll be honest. I reckon it'll be many, many years. But anyway, there's a bit of an overview of the weather. So I wanted to concentrate quite a bit on the new Met Office visualization website tonight, because we're going to be using that. So do get you might as well start digging deep and getting used to it, because we're going to have to change over to it anyway. Sounds like it will get better over time, especially if we actually take the time to just give them some feedback. Would help, what we like, what we don't like, etc., etc. What will make life easier for us or better for us. I'm going to keep plugging away, like I say, at the animated synoptic chart with the fronts on there. I like the fronts being on there as well, like we saw, but in a nice animated fashion. That works well. And the rainfall radar, ideally, so it blends from actual into forecast, but with a clear distinction of where the difference is, etc. Obviously, just so in case you can't work out what the time is, that sort of thing. That'd be useful. And just making sure you go from that big picture first, using all those lovely synoptic charts, and slowly drilling down into the nitty gritty of the detail. Remember, we're always looking at. It doesn't matter too much which way around it is, but as long as you're looking at what the forecast is, what's actually happening, and what did happen. Was that what was predicted? But you can only know if that was any good if you were looking before then at what the forecast was for that previous time, to feel what it's happening. Is this actually happening as they said it would, or is it vastly different, to get that feel for it? Yeah. Well, I think that better wrap it up there. Thank you so much for joining.
Yep, thank you, Paul.
I hope that was helpful.
Definitely.
And if you find something on the MAVIS website that we haven't covered or you think is useful, or just let us know. Yeah, it could be handy. Any little hints and tips or useful things you found, yeah, let me know. It'd be quite cool. Hey, right, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Safe journey.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, take it easy, everybody. Bye for now.